the President of the Federative Republic of Brazil, His Excellency President Lula da Silva, to take the podium. Please join me in welcoming the President.
Gostaria de cumprimentar o presidente Ramaphosa, presidente da África do Sul. Gostaria de cumprimentar os ministros. Gostaria de cumprimentar a presidenta do novo Banco Cooperativo, Rousseff. Gostaria de cumprimentar os empresários e as empresárias aqui presentes. E gostaria, sobretudo, de saudar o governo sul-americano pela realização desse fórum empresarial. Quero expressar a minha satisfação por compartilhar este evento com os demais líderes dos países dos BRICS. Agradeço também a todos os empresários e empresárias presentes, em especial a direção do Conselho Empresarial, que completa 10 anos. O estabelecimento de parcerias entre os setores privados é uma dimensão muito relevante do BRICS, e que dá vida e continuidade às relações entre países. Desde a primeira cúpula de chefes de Estado e de governo, nossa participação na economia emergente em desenvolvimento são aqueles que apresentarão maior índice de crescimento nos próximos anos. Segundo o FMI, enquanto os países industrializados devem desacelerar seu crescimento de 2,7% em 2022 para 1,4% em 2024, o crescimento previsto para os países em desenvolvimento é de 4% nesse próximo período. Isso mostra que o dinamismo da economia está no sul global e os BRICS é sua força motriz. O estoque de investimento externo direto dos BRICS no Brasil cresceu 167% entre 2012 e 2021, atingindo 34,2 bilhões de dólares. Hoje, quase 400 empresas do bloco operam no Brasil. Depois dos últimos 6 anos de retrocesso e estagnação, o Brasil vai voltar a gerar empregos de qualidade, a combater a pobreza e a... Apresentei há 2 semanas o novo PAC, Programa de Aceleração do Crescimento. O plano prevê a retomada de empreendimentos paralisados, aceleração dos que estão em andamento e seleção de novos projetos. Trata-se de um comprehensive program with many opportunities that may be of interest of investors from BRICS countries. Esperamos mobilizar
We hope to mobilize $340 billion for modernizing our logistics infrastructures with investments in motorways, railways, waterways, ports and airports. We will also give priority to the generation of solar and wind power, as well as biomass, ethanol and biodiesel. We have immense potential for generating green hydrogen. We shall establish partnerships between government and the business community in all areas through concessions, public-private partnerships and direct contracts. In order for investment to grow again and drive development, we need to ensure more credibility, predictability and legal certainty, as well as political and social certainty for the private sector. For this reason, I have advocated the idea of greater financial integration, where we could have a new reference unit which would not replace our national currencies. The financing needs, the unmet financing needs of developing countries remains high. The lack of a substantial reform from traditional financial institutions limit the volume and the credit modes offered by existing banks. The decision of establishing the new development bank represented a milestone in effective collaboration among emerging economies. Our joint bank must be a global leader in the financing of projects that address the most pressing challenges of our time. By diversifying payment sources in local currencies, increasing its partner network and its membership, NDB constitutes a strategic platform to promote cooperation between developing countries. In this strategy, engagement with the African Development Bank will be central to this. At the multilateral level, the BRICS stood out for being a force that works in favor of a fairer, more predictable, equitable global trade. We cannot accept a greedy neocolonialism that imposes trade barriers and discriminatory measures under the guise of protecting the environment. As of December, Brazil will hold the G20 presidency. The presence of 3 BRICS members in the G20 Troika will be a great opportunity for us to move forward on issues of interest to the Global South. We already have South Africa's participation, but the group's representativeness may be increased with the entry of the African Union and other countries of the continent.
It's just a water break.
Eu estou falando de tanto desenvolvimento.
I've been talking about developing, and then suddenly, I miss the important source of life, water.
Queridos amigos e amigas,
dear friends,
ao voltar à presidência do meu
upon
país,
taking office as president of my country again, I am resuming the guidelines of Brazilian foreign policy. We started to rebuild South American integration. We have resumed our partnerships with the US, China, and the European Union. We hosted the summit of the Amazon countries. We still had to return to Africa. It is unacceptable that in 2022, Brazil's trade with Africa has dropped by 1/3 when compared to 2013, when it was almost $30 billion. Trade flow with Africa still corresponds to only 3.5% of Brazil's foreign trade. Our trade agreement network is still in its infancy. Existing agreements with Southern Africa and Egypt date from my second term. Today, over 65% of Mercosur exports to Africa went to African countries with which there is no agreement in force. There is plenty of room to grow. In addition to a past that unites us, we also share a common vision of the future. In my first 2 terms, the African continent was a priority for Brazil. I have made 12 trips to Africa and have been to 21 countries. Brazil is back on the continent where it should never have left. Africa has vast opportunities and enormous potential for growth. To discuss the relaunch of trade with the continent, Brazil brought together the heads of the trade promotion sectors of all our representations in African countries here in Johannesburg last June. Africa is building an ambitious free trade zone project. 54 countries, 1.3 billion people with over $3 trillion in GDP in this continent, which is the youngest in the world from an age perspective and will be the most popular by 2100, offers countless opportunities for Brazilian products such as food and beverages, oil, iron ore, vehicles and iron and steel manufacturers. Africa has 65% of the arable land available in the world, and it is has a strong vocation for being an agricultural powerhouse with the capacity to feed its people and offer global food security solutions. Combining investment and technology, Brazil has developed modern tropical agricultural techniques that can be successfully replicated in Africa. Through the Brazilian Agricultural Research Corporation, we have turned the Cerrado into an area of high agricultural productivity, and we can replicate this experience in the African savanna. My government has also resumed public policies to support family farming, essential to fight food insecurity and hunger that affects our continent. The More Food program, which I relaunched last June, allows small farmers to have access to financing to purchase tractors, tools, and harvesters. As in the past, a version of the More Food program for food should be resumed as another aspect of Brazilian South-South cooperation. Africa is also at the heart of the digital and energy transitions. Internet coverage already reaches most of the African population, and digital innovation centers and financial technology services companies are multiplying, strengthening the Brazilian health complex. Strengthening may lead to ample opportunities for cooperation with South America. The African continent has important ore reserves such as, essential ore such as lithium or cobalt that will play a strategic role. So that we do not remain as exporters of primary products, we must make the most of this opportunity to forge the integration of our production chains and add value to the goods and services that we produce in a sustainable manner. Africa is the region of the world that emits the least amount of greenhouse gases. However, this does not mean that it does not have to face the most perverse consequences of global warming, such as droughts, floods, fires, and cyclones. Brazil and many African countries have comprehensive plans to renew their energy mixes. We share the responsibility of caring for tropical rainforests and preserving biodiversity. We share the common concern of fighting the desertification process. Environmental and ecosystem services provided by rainforests to the world, they must be paid for in a fair and equitable manner. Social diversity products can generate jobs and income and offer alternatives to the predatory exploitation of natural resources. These are the pillars of the ecological transition plan that we will launch soon. For our economic and productive integration to flourish, it will be necessary to increase sea and air connections between the two sides of the Atlantic. It is inexplicable that we do not have direct flights between São Paulo and Johannesburg, Cairo or Dakar, essential for increasing the flow of people, trade and tourism. Therefore, I believe it to be very important the proposal made by the BRICS Business Council of establishing a multilateral agreement of air services for the group with the main national transport and aviation authorities from the countries. Very relevant proposal because the BRICS have a unique chance of shaping the global development path. You, business people, you're part of this effort. Together, our countries make up a third of the global economy. This relevance will grow with the admission of new full members and dialogue partners. Collaboration between the public and private sector is vital for harnessing this potential and achieving lasting results. Thank you very much and good luck.
Obrigado. I thank His Excellency President Lula da Silva. Our next speaker is the President of the Russian Federation.